So let's not talk about Daniel Jeremiah coming up in our number 2.
Did that feel good, that release?
Well, no. I'll just say, because we're waiting for the draft. It's now, we determine how many days it is?
29 today.
29 days. All right, so today's 29 Eric Dickerson days from the draft. And we're waiting. We're waiting to see how it's all going to play out. Is there anybody trade up for that first overall pick? Well, it doesn't look like the Titans are interested because they sent their entire contingent, including their broadcast and internet teams, to record Cam Ward's pro day in Miami. Like literally their entire front office and their coaching staff that has anything to do with the quarterback was there. Cleveland sitting at 2. What are they going to do?
Cleveland.
And then whatever Cleveland does, clearly Mike Mayock joined us on Monday, said that the Browns control the draft because everyone assumes it's Cam Ward going to Tennessee. Then what are the Browns going to do? They choose a quarterback or they choose anybody that's not a quarterback. And then in this draft, that means Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. And if they choose the quarterback, then that means the Giants would be choosing between Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Or if they take one of them, then the Giants would be taking either one of the guys that the Browns left on the board or Shedeur Sanders, who was thrown with Malik Neighbors the weekend of the Heisman Trophy in December out in the streets of New York because he was there to support Travis Hunter. And the Giants made a move yesterday because we're all waiting on Aaron Rodgers. And it's crazy. Rodgers shows up at the Steelers facility. I was going to say out of the blue, but, it's not like the Steelers didn't know. It's not like he just knocked on the door and said, oh, look who's here.
Hi.
Hey.
Why is Aaron Rodgers at the front door?
Excuse me. Go tell Mr. Rooney an Aaron Rodgers and an Aaron Rodgers is here.
Who invited him?
So it's out of the blue. It's out of the blue to us in the media,
Aaron.
but not to them.
Where is Aaron right now?
Well, he spent hours at the Steelers facility last week, and then within 48 hours, Jameis Winston is signed to the Giants. 2 years, $8 million, and then yesterday, Russell Wilson signs a 1-year deal that can be worth up to $21 million, $10.5 million guaranteed. Keep that in mind. Put a pin in that. And the 10-time Pro Bowl selection who visited Cleveland, and everybody over the last week was saying is such a low option for the Steelers that they're willing to just tell Aaron Rodgers, take your time, and sign Mason Rudolph in the meantime. He's now going to the Giants, where he is projected as the starting quarterback for the Giants. A few things here. First of all, Russell Wilson reminds everybody that he's going back to MetLife Stadium. It's like, what do you mean going back to MetLife Stadium? That's where he won his Super Bowl. That's where the Seahawks beat the Broncos on a unseasonably warm 60-degree February day.
They beat the brakes off the Broncos.
By the way, after it was 0 degrees all week in New York, and then it was a blizzard the day after, the football god said, here's a 60-degree day for your football Sunday. And it was a red-hot day for the Seahawks, top to bottom, especially on defense. But long story short, dangerous Russ Wilson feels very comfortable back in MetLife Stadium. Wants everyone to know that. And Major League Baseball had their fun with it, too, saying here he is playing for New York, and it's him as a Yankee, because he's done the Yankee spring training stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, couple things. First of all, let's talk about the Russell Wilson part of it. I can't believe, based on the way his career began, that he's now a journeyman quarterback. Mm-hmm. But that's when you say a journeyman quarterback, it does sound that it is a denigrating term. But he has now gone, it's 3 teams in 3 years. He's gone from Denver to Pittsburgh to New York. And remarkably, after what happened at the end of Seattle and then the way that he left Denver, he got a spot right off the bat in Pittsburgh, to the point where Kenny Pickett says, get me out of here. And on the day that he's introduced as the new Cleveland Browns member of the team, Russ visited that day. And he probably thought, how many AFC North stops am I going to stop at? Or this guy shows up and I want out of here now.
Probably. You think he was like, I know that ain't who I think it is.
But that's not an issue for him anymore because he's now at the Giants. And a 10-time Pro Bowler is now got yet one more shot to potentially be his last shot at reviving a career that was on the path to the Pro Football Hall of Fame while he was in Seattle. And Denver traded a ton for him and then dead capped a ton of money to get rid of him. And then he goes to Pittsburgh where he has the pole position only to get hurt in the summer and still be handed the team at 4-2, turn it into a 10-3 team, and then have everything fall so far off the cliff that the Steelers didn't apparently consider him as an option to move on with this year, to the point where he gets to go visit Cleveland and then New York, and the Giants say, we will sign you. And he gets now this opportunity for the Giants in the money division, where I'll tell you what, they had best protect him up front. Because the way that the season ended last year, I mean, the Eagles are going to have a field day. Mm-hmm. And the Commanders a field day. And Micah Parsons a field day if the Giants don't protect up front for Russ. But I don't think I'm telling any tales out of school there. That it is a remarkable, yet again, opportunity for Russell Wilson, because as of right now, he's going to be the starting quarterback. And all due respect to Jameis Winston, he will back up. And Tommy Cutlets will be there as an emergency just in case. Pull the ripcord type moment. And that brings us to the draft ramifications. I don't think this takes the Giants out of taking a rookie quarterback in Green Bay in the 2025 draft.
At number 3?
It definitely removes the pressure of taking one at number 3. If they don't, and they take Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, if that's their options, or potentially even trading out, if that's what they want to do, they can do that now. If they're not into Shedeur Sanders, they can pass, but then take somebody later on. Tyler Shuck, trade up for Jackson Dart. There are options for them, but they don't have to do it at 3. But they could still take Shedeur Sanders and be like, how many quarterbacks can they have? 4. For training camp. Winnow it down. Have Shedeur sit. Russ plays. If Russ can't go and Shadeur's not ready, Jameis goes. 2 veterans in the quarterback room to coach him up, if that's what they want to do. Because Russ, now he pulled a pin out of what I said to put a pin in. $10.5 million. Jameis, $4 million.
Right.
That's $15 million. That isn't even half of what they were paying Daniel Jones.
Correct.
So the salary cap and the amount of money that they're allocating to these quarterbacks doesn't mandate their position. It doesn't put a mandate that they have to play. They don't. It's 1 year. It's not that long of a commitment. I don't think this takes the Giants out of the drafting a quarterback market at all. But it definitely makes it less likely that they're forced to take one at the number 3 overall position if they're not into whoever's there. That's the way I'm reading it. And Cleveland does hold the cards. Do they want Shedeur? Because if they don't take Shedeur and the Giants aren't into Shedeur, then guess what? I mean, and everyone sticks and picks. I don't know where Shedeur goes. You put up the draft order here. The Patriots and Jaguars aren't taking him. They might trade out for somebody that wants him. Then comes the very interesting choices of 6, 7, and 9. If Shadeur's sitting there at 6 because the Giants don't need him at 3, do the Raiders go ahead and do it, or they take Ashton Genty?
You know.
Do the Jets take Shedeur Sanders at 7? That would be something to think about. Do they do something like that? Do the Saints do it at 9? Because if the Titans take Cam Ward and the Browns are like, you know what? We got Kenny Pickett for this year. We got Deshaun coming back and from his Achilles the year after that. They might go ahead and take a flyer at Kirk Cousins, knock on Atlanta's door. Mike Mayock keeps talking about how Derek Carr would be a post-June 1st option. Do they do that? They've got the first pick on Friday night. Do they take Tyler Shuck there if nobody trades up for him? They could stick and pick and take that kid there. You know? So these are all possibilities here at the quarterback spot. But the Giants don't have to take one now. 3rd overall. The headline is on the draft, Giants don't have to take one, but these moves don't preclude them from doing it. 3rd overall. Whereas before getting these veterans, they might have had no choice but to force their way into a situation, which might be an unfair way to describe Shedeur Sanders being drafted. And I'm sure this now sets off an alarm bell potentially in Boulder, in the coach's office, to start trying to game this out. Where does Shedeur land? And I'm sure he wants to be at the top of the draft, but the more he drops, the better the teams are that may get him. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, Lamar, 2-time MVP of this league, was sitting there at the 32nd overall pick, and the Ravens were like, okay, we see you.
That worked out.
Right. So it doesn't matter if he drops other than just a longer night on a Thursday night and a potentially bruised ego.
A little financial, but that can be made up.
Well,
he's doing all right.
I think he's doing all right on that front.
Yeah, we were just looking at the valuation. Just
right.
NIL.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.